Aloha and good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to This Is Now. I'm Dylan Ancheta in the H&N Digital Center. We wanted to let you know that we are awaiting a news conference with the governor as well as Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson. They're about to start any moment now. They will be discussing the latest on the wildfire recovery efforts. Of course, yesterday was the 1-year anniversary since the devastating Lahaina wildfires. So when that conference begins, we will bring that to you live. But for now, we want to start with some international news regarding an international plane crash that happened in Brazil. In international news, an airplane carrying 58 passengers and 4 crew members crashed in Brazil on Friday, according to the airline. The plane, Flight 2283, fell in the city of Vinhedo, according to Vopas Linhas Aéreas. The flight was on its way to Sao Paulo from Cascavel. The airline said it did not have any information about what caused the crash or the condition on the people on board. However, according to the Brazilian president, he says that it appeared that everyone on board was killed. He did not elaborate as to how that information had been obtained. Since the plane that crashed, an ATR-72, was built in Europe, neither the U.S. NTSB nor the FAA has jurisdiction over the crash, according to U.S. agencies. And now Governor Green has approached the podium. Let's go ahead and send you live to that news conference right now.
Aloha. What an extraordinary year. A year ago yesterday, devastating wildfires swept through West Maui and other parts of this county and Big Island, burned the town of Lahaina down, took 102 of our loved ones and probably 2 additional who we haven't found. Left thousands more homeless. We've spent the last several days talking about this, and yesterday was a day of reflection where we had our hearts broken again as we spent time with the families. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what has happened over the last year and what's going to happen in the coming year as we recover, as we heal. This was unprecedented for us. The year was filled with immense challenges, as you know, but people were so resilient. And that's what we've seen over the last 24 hours, especially as we've been with all of the families who had so much loss and in the community. And Mayor, you brought people together so extraordinarily. Thank you. Thank you from our hearts, the way you've done that for people. So I'm here to, of course, honor the memory of those we lost on August 8th, but I want to talk about how this recovery is going to come together and how houses will be built and how we will get additional services for people. So 12,000 people plus were displaced, over 3,000 properties were destroyed. The estimated cost of the overall recovery will ultimately exceed $12 billion, and we will unpack that for people. It is not about money, it is about healing, and that's what we have to do as a team, and this has all been a team effort. Thank you. More devastating than that material loss was the loss of our fathers and mothers and grandparents and in some cases children. That was the hardest thing for all of us to see, I think, and Jamie and I spent time thinking about that with all of you yesterday as we walked and saw the pictures of loved ones. So what do? We do everything now possible to help those families and all the families recover. I want to recognize and thank all the firefighters in this moment and the first responders who went into harm's way. So many more people could have been lost if they didn't do what they did. So firefighters and police, just extraordinary, and all of the team that went into the field. So you were heroic, and so we owe you this recovery. So the response was immediate from every corner of Hawaii. Organizations and communities stood up immediately, and new leaders rose. I want to single out Archie Kalepa, who essentially created a response team with the mayor in the first hours. Lives were saved as we tried to fly into the island. We should never, ever forget what civilians did to keep us alive, to bring supplies by boat and plane and helicopter. Just amazing stories. Organizations and state agencies then stood up. HIEMA, Department of Education, Health, Human Services, started working with Maui County in the moment. FEMA and Bob Fenton has to be mentioned as one of our heroes. twice if we're going to account for size. And his partner, sorry, there has to be some levity. It's just unbelievable what has gone on. And his leader, our administrators here again, Administrator Criswell, amazing. So meals were purchased and a school was built. We're going to have our experts dive into the details. So disaster relief began immediately, but of course it was never enough. There's been mental health care needs that exceeded capacity, medical needs that overwhelmed facilities in both the hours and the days and weeks after. But everyone came together, American Red Cross, FEMA, and Mayor's team, thousands of volunteers actually. So first thing that happened was we placed 7,797 individuals into hotels. No one's ever done that before. It happened in 13 days across 40 hotels, and 1.1 million meals were served. I want to recall that because the world was watching, and we just don't have a lot of houses available. And then we didn't have another county to go to. Couldn't just send 3,000 people to Lanai. Can you imagine trying that? So we had to do things that were never done before. And so for that, I'm going to be forever grateful to our hotel partners and just to the team that was creative and willing to do that. And people understood. Those people who understand Hawaii and have been here as visitors, as friends, and family. Concerned citizens and organizations like CNHA and the Hawaii Community Foundation. Unbelievable how they expanded and mobilized to be able to absorb the sense of aloha that was coming from the mainland, where hundreds of millions of dollars poured in, but they had to manage that in a way that was responsible and to bring resources so that we could start building houses, so that we could do grants for people. They ran a parallel government entity, essentially, to what we were doing. And it was amazing. It kept people alive. And
once again, this is a live news conference with Governor Josh Green. Also in the wings is Maui County Mayor Richard Bisson, along with Bob Fenton from FEMA. We are going to keep a close eye on this news conference. We have our news crew there. They will be giving you a recap of what was said later this evening on evening editions of Hawaii News Now. We will also continue to stream this on our digital platforms and bring you any other details from it as we go along. We want to turn now back to national news as the campaign trail continues to heat up with Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump.
Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz are continuing their campaign tour of battleground states, rallying Friday evening in Arizona.
And I do have some genuine enthusiasm for the vice president's campaign.
Mesa, Arizona Mayor John Giles, a Republican, is endorsing Harris and has formed the Republicans for Harris group to help her win the state.
There's no way I can endorse Donald Trump. I regret where he's taken the Republican Party. We need two strong parties in our country, and right now we don't have that.
And for the first time in its nearly 100-year history, the Latino civil rights group LULAC is making a presidential endorsement, backing Harris and Walz. Former President Donald Trump is hitting the campaign trail again, traveling to Bozeman, Montana. It's a state he will likely win easily in November, whether he campaigns there or not. Trump has Montana's Senate race on his mind, where he's working to see Republican Tim Sheehy defeat Democratic incumbent John Tester.
I don't have to go there because I'm leading those states, as you know, by 35, 40, 50 points. I'm leading by record numbers. I'm going because I want to help senators and congressmen get elected.
Trump was asked Thursday why he's not campaigning more for himself.
Some of your allies have expressed concern that you're not taking this very seriously, particularly at a time where there's enthusiasm on the other side. Why haven't you been campaigning this week?
Because I'm leading by a lot and because I'm letting their convention go through.
Democrats are holding their convention in Chicago beginning August 19th. Willie James Inman, CBS News, the White House.
And more international news breaking overnight. Another teenager has now been arrested in the alleged ISIS-linked terror plot planned for one of Taylor Swift's now canceled concerts in Vienna, Austria. Ian Lee is tracking the investigation from London.
Austrian authorities said the 19-year-old suspect arrested Wednesday morning has made a full confession after being accused of planning a terror attack targeting a Taylor Swift show in Vienna. Law enforcement says his plan was to use bombs and knives to kill as many people as possible outside the stadium. According to officials, he quit his job on July 25th, days after pledging himself to ISIS, claiming he had big plans. Police say they found hydrogen peroxide in his home, which can be used in the manufacture of explosives, as well as various bomb-making components. A 17-year-old suspect was also arrested, who was allegedly employed a few days ago by a company providing services for the concert venue. A source telling CBS News that investigators also found an emergency siren device, which could have helped the suspects impersonate police. With no show to attend, yesterday Swifties sang in the streets of Vienna instead, swapping friendship bracelets, even gifting some to police. On Thursday, Austria's chancellor said the suspect had planned to create a, quote, bloodbath, rivaling similar attacks in recent years targeting Moscow, Paris, and Manchester. Former counterterrorism official Samantha Vinograd.
There does not appear to be an ongoing threat to the public emanating from the individuals that were arrested in Austria.
Yesterday, UK officials confirmed that Swift's upcoming shows next week in London will go on as planned.
Last night I was panicking a little bit, but I think we took a few hours, we calmed down, and I think we're now feeling good about going again.
Swift's 5 shows will take place at the historic Wembley Stadium starting next Thursday before she heads back to North America. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
And back here in the islands, the FBI alongside MPD are warning the public to be on alert after several explosives were found on Maui. Now, our team is working to gather more information on this, but here's what we know so far. Authorities say several of these makeshift devices disguised as small baskets were recently found in Kahului and Pukalani. There have been no injuries reported so far, and we've also received multiple reports into our newsroom of a possible explosion last night in the Pukalani area. These are unconfirmed, however, and we don't know if it's related, but we have reached out to Maui police for more details. Anyone with information on any explosives should contact the FBI. You can call them at 800-225-5324. Also, yesterday was filled with solemn tributes and remembrances for the 102 lives lost in the Lahaina wildfire. There was also a beacon symbolizing the resilience of the Valley Isle. Marriott's Maui Ocean Club in Ka'anapali lit up 42 rooms yesterday to form a giant L and S, which stands for Lahaina Strong. On the night of the fires last year, the hotel's director of safety and security used a satellite phone to contact Maui's emergency management agency and the acting governor.
We couldn't communicate very well from the west side to anywhere else in the world without a satellite phone, but I was able to make an LS, Lahaina Strong, and send that out to owners. Yes, we got it on Facebook, and it started catching on. I did it for weeks and weeks and weeks, a labor of love, to send this message out, and I'm doing it again tonight.
Reattached to the actual tree, it's one of many ways that people are celebrating the rebirth of the beloved town.